Live from Erie, Pennsylvania, this is Just the Tip, the show where we raw dog any and all topics.
Yeah. Well,
Hold on. Live from Erie, Pennsylvania, this is Just the Tip, the show where we raw dog any and all topics. And the reason why King's over there giggling is because I'm an idiot and had my mic off while trying to do the intro a second ago.
You're in the captain's chair now, so
I feel like Joe Biden, not qualified to sit here.
well, I mean, at least you got like 3 teleprompters in front of you.
Yeah, but I also can't read off of a teleprompter. Do you know why?
Why?
Because my dumbass just says anything that comes to mind.
Well, there's that.
I would not make a good Democratic candidate.
Jesus.
Look, folks, I know it seems like I'm coming across as a Republican, but we want you guys to remember 2 things as we get into talking about the election results today. And in case you live under a rock, Donald Trump won. But the first thing I want you to remember is, regardless of who you voted for, let's treat each other with some respect and actually discuss our ideas and our opposing viewpoints. No reason to get angry and start yelling at your neighbor because they got the other person's sign. Have a conversation.
Fuck that. No, if you got
for a conversation.
The way I look at it is, it's like this. First and foremost, I want to get this out of the way. We did not have the entrance music by Stellar Modus today, and we didn't have the cutscene because Monty hasn't manned the helm in quite some time, and Josh just had a child, so that's why he's not here right now. Congratulations to him on that, and his family, beautiful baby girl. But so we just we didn't have that intro. But back to the yard signs. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I said this in a Facebook status earlier this week. It is perfectly fine to disassociate yourself with somebody with opposing political views. And I don't give a fuck if they're family members. Because if you're just sitting there spouting off shit that's just all echo chambery, that's on either side, more so on the left, but on either side, I really, that just shows the level of NPC you are, and I'm a playable character, so I'm not going to engage too much. I'll be friendly, I'll be cool, but it's not going to be an in-depth conversation because those people can't be reached. They just can't see the forest through the trees. So
that's what I think a lot of people seem to have been forgetting during this last, let's call it 6 months or so, when the campaigns really rallied up. A lot of people just you're the main character in your own story. And you gotta play through and level up. You gotta collect the cool items, defeat the monsters and all that. But that requires you putting in the effort. And that actually goes right into the second thing I want to remind everyone of. Regardless of who's in office, the person with the most control over your life is always going to be you. Yes, there are things, Congress, and yes, there are things that the president does that affect us in a big way. But if you're not working on bettering your own life, building up your skills, working hard, learning about new stuff, it doesn't matter who's in office. You're going to be miserable because of you. Trump is not the devil. He's not an angel. But just because he's in office does not mean your life is over. So for anyone that's, fuming that he's the president now, just realize he doesn't have as much power over you unless you give it to him.
Yeah, a lot of my people that I know on social media are posting, "Oh, my rights are gone." Da da da. No, and a lot of it, some of them on the left were kind of people that their banner was championed through the left, the LGBT folks. That's whatever your desire is, and as long as you're not imposing on other people and oppressing them. You didn't wake up today and Donald Trump said you're not allowed to be gay. You can still fucking be gay, bro. Do what the hell you gotta do. Ain't nobody's business. Have at it. You want to be lesbian? Cool. Yeah. You want to cosplay? Cool. I don't this dude doesn't have that power over you, and to think that, and then people are gonna argue the Roe v. Wade thing. No, I don't think that's really going to be an issue simply because the Supreme Court said leave it up to your individual state.
And that's the thing I think a lot of people there's a disconnect. It seems to be that people on the left believe that Trump got it overturned. Now it means no abortion no abortion all over the place. Then other people want it so that abortion's legal all over the place. But I want to remind people of something, that when Roe v. Wade got overturned, regardless of what you believe about it and the history of it, the federal government did something that it almost never does. It gave up power. The federal government said, we're not the ones that's going to make this decision. And that almost never happens. The government has always tried to accumulate more and more power over the people. And this is an instance where it doesn't happen. It gave it back to the states, which, in case you didn't know, it's in the name, the United States. So now people have the option to vote on it in their own locale, in their own city, in their own state. And it's just, I don't understand the confusion. Because the other thing is, Trump never said, we're going to take away your rights with it.
Right.
He just said, hey, we don't want you to kill babies. You can still have medically related, sexually assault related abortions, things like that are still going to be available across the nation.
Here's the thing that a lot of people don't put together. The Roe v. Wade thing. Norma McCorvey was used as a political kickstand. If anybody just sees that on the surface, like the Roe v. Wade, they don't really understand how that thing was put into play. She was used. She was used and goaded into a position, and they used it politically to make that a thing. And
didn't she come out herself talking about the regrets she had during that whole process?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't, again, surface dwellers, see what they see it, they read it, they hear it, it's true, right? They don't go any further in the rabbit hole. But she was used as a political kickstand to get that to be a thing. But yeah, the Supreme Court actually making a decision to go, all right, you want to go and get a mulligan and be irresponsible and, have so many abortions, then you're going to have to go to another, the state that allows it.
Yep.
And I understand the need for abortions in certain cases.
A lot of times women will have miscarriages, and not to get too into detail, but it's happened in my own family. And at that point, it's a medical procedure that needs to be done. It's threatening the life of the mother. You have to get the baby out of there.
Right.
And, to call it a baby, call it a fetus, whatever you want to call it. Medically, there are cases where it's necessary. There are cases of rape and incest and whatnot where it is necessary. No, a 13-year-old that was sexually assaulted should not be forced to bring a baby to term.
Right.
That's not what we're saying.
Right.
What we're saying is the government is giving up some of its power, which is how it's supposed to be. I personally believe in a minimal federal government.
Yeah.
The government that governs least governs best. So, and like I said, I'm open to having that discussion. All we're saying is, and what Trump wants to do is say, hey, if you're trying to use abortion as a form of birth control, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, you don't get that. Sure, if you want to have the right to do it, but I'm also going to have the right to look at you sideways. If that's what you're using it for, then you're just a total piece of shit as a human.
Exactly.
There it is. As a person who had a child, and knowing in the month 4 that they had, the child was going to have trisomy 18, which is not a good, it's not going to go well. And we were kind of pushed in the direction of getting an abortion, where his mom was just like, I'm not going to quit until he quits, which was the most noble and admirable thing you can do. And going the whole 9 months, which is also rare in a trisomy 18 case. And then, giving birth to a child that was, sleeping. Lack of a, that probably is the better term for it. I would say lack of a better term. But, so that is very... I understand that where some women would make that decision and go the other way. I wouldn't fault them for doing so. Whereas, I was fortunate enough to have somebody that thought of it by being noble about it. But the left really doesn't have any platform to sit here and preach to people about body autonomy. I don't know if anybody was asleep at the wheel in the last fucking 4 or 5 years, but they were calling for people's jobs and professions if they didn't get a certain gene therapy done to them. Like, they would, you didn't have a mask on. Like, they didn't give a shit about anybody's, body autonomy then. But now, you're going to use this as a platform and say, my body, my choice. Get the fuck out of here. You're fucking clowns. You can't sit here and say this, my body, my choice, but then forced inoculation or forced jab or whatever. Like, you can't do that. You can't. It's an argument of convenience is what it is.
Well, the argument they're using for COVID, and I don't think I'm allowed to say that on the YouTube stream of this, but, whatever. The argument for abortion is my body, my rights, my choice. The argument for COVID is this is going to be affecting the people around you. And that's where they're arguing both sides of that. And as someone who studied biology, studied viruses and things like that, I understand the need for a shutdown at the first couple of weeks to month where we didn't understand what was happening.
I'll disagree with you kindly on that, but go ahead.
That's fine. Yeah. But we didn't know just how deadly or not deadly it could be. We didn't know anything. The problems that arose was as we started getting more information and started learning that, it's about a 2% mortality rate, which is technically 20 times more than that of the flu, but it's still only a 2% mortality rate. And that mortality rate was mostly correlated with people that are older, people that are very obese, things like that.
Yeah.
And so it quickly became a political thing rather than a medical thing.
Which leads to me to think that it was a psyop. Like, that's why I disagree with the shutdown. That, like, we, the citizens, didn't know. Like, I will say most mass population of the citizens didn't know. But, like, I could tell by the way they were structuring, the way they were doing it, the weeks out, the way they were talking about this. And I'm like, they're going to shut the fucking country down. Weeks in advance, I knew this was going to happen because you just know the way the media portrays things. And then, like, even during 9/11, the threat level meter and all that shit. And then they started doing all the stupid things like 6 feet, like mask on and all that. Like, I just knew it was just like, okay, we'll see who's going to fucking partake in this and see how much resistance we get. That's what I was completely opposed to a shutdown because that collapsed a lot of businesses. That collapsed a lot of people's livelihoods. That hurt a lot of people. You could still go out if somebody is sick, and I'm going to have the respect to stay the fuck away from you. Mm-hmm. And if I'm sick, I'm
going to have consideration.
Yeah, I'm not going to, but like, that's just common sense. But it was literally like a huge game of like kindergarten mandates and hokey pokey, like follow suit, Simon Says, like that was what they structured that argument on. And I don't believe that they should have shut a country down over it, and I don't believe they still have an argument to talk about body autonomy. They just don't. You can't sit there and say, hey, you went to school for this long. And they held that licensure over, a lot of doctors' heads, like, to kind of get this thing to go through. Like, if you speak against it, then you're fucked. Like, we'll take your license away.
Well, that is a whole other issue when you're talking about the doctors and their licensing and Big Pharma being involved. Like, I want to say it was around 96, give or take a couple of years, Big Pharma was not allowed to advertise on television.
Yeah.
They were not allowed to advertise.
Some countries now they're not allowed to.
The United States and I believe New Zealand are the only places pharmaceutical companies are allowed to advertise. Mm-hmm. I mean, you turn on a football game and you're going to see Travis Kelce 2-3 times, even if the Chiefs aren't playing.
Yeah.
Mr. Pfizer. And, as someone who, has a background in like biology and health and whatnot, I believe in vaccines. I believe in all these like polio, for example. Hasn't been a problem since we invented that vaccine. The COVID part of it is the whole politicization of the issue rather than, hey, this is the disease. It's hurting people. This vaccine stops it. But, it's like polio, for example.
Didn't fucking stop it. That's what they sold it on, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, I believe in medicine. I believe in drugs when they're necessary. I believe in all this kind of stuff because science is science. The information is either correct or it's incorrect.
Science, though.
But when the science is being
Government
told,
funded.
when it's being told to us through the media and through the government, now that information gets warped. Because, like, the law of gravity, for example, it's going to exist. Like, it exists. You throw something, it's going to come down. That is just a fact. And we can prove that. Like, if someone started telling us gravity doesn't exist, it's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Right.
But things like climate change and all this other stuff, there's so much other interests in it.
Oh, yeah.
That it's hard for us to get the actual scientific information.
There's definitely motivation there.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a man of science. You show me the information and let me see what's going on.
Right.
But a lot of, and it's not just government funded, privately funded, like going back to the pharmaceutical companies, a lot of the research is privately funded by them. And so you get all those side effects at the end of the commercial, but no one says anything.
That's the thing that we celebrate mental illness and physical illness here rather than, and embrace it anymore. And that's because those companies, those higher, pharmaceutical companies, they reap profit off of it. A customer, a patient cured is a customer lost.
Yeah,
and that's
the
why
money's in the
you
treatment.
get to sit there and promote it through media and all that stuff. And you watch some of these commercials, and like if you have like some type of ailment or whatever, but then there's like several different side effects of like I'll just deal with a fucking ailment. Like,
the other thing with that is
those companies fund those commercials.
Yeah,
and they also fund these politicians. Like if you look at Trump, and I did not vote. Didn't vote at all because at this stage of the game, this dude did Operation Warp Speed, and he said it was the greatest invention known to man. Like I don't know if he's still saying that or not, but like he at one point in time said that like something came out and all of a sudden there was this cure. It was just too quick. It was kind of like when 9/11 happened. They knew who did it right away. Within hours, they knew who did it. It's the same pattern. I'm a pattern recognitionist. You're a science man. I go, these people are saying this. What are they not saying? How are they saying it? What do they gain from saying it?
Well, that's why you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah. Like simple example. Someone's trying to tell you Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm going to look at it and go, okay, well, you grew up watching him play. There's some bias there. Like, as just like a simple...
But they're still watching basketball, so...
I know, but my point is like, but you have a bias there because that's who you grew up idolizing. You ask someone younger, they're going to say it's LeBron. That's who they grew up idolizing.
10 players better than LeBron ever.
I'm just saying, like, there's always going to be a bias based on what you came up with. People are going to have their favorites and make claims that are sometimes unfounded based on the world that they live in.
Right.
Like, I don't think you can prove who the best basketball player of all time is. Like, it's just too many
Mike
variables.
revolutionized the game.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't carry back then, and plus you were getting the shit beat out of you back then, and
yeah. But
he is the benchmark. He's the gold standard. Like LeBron, he was a great player. I think there was a lot of he got a lot of help with referees and stuff like that, but he played in a different era. He played with different rules. It's kind of like NFL nowadays. Like, you're not even allowed to play defense.
Yeah, but the point being is the world you're coming from, like, that's going to affect your biases towards, and it's not something that can be proven. Yeah. That's why I'm using it as an example. Like, I can't prove who is the greatest. There's too many variables. Right. I can just go who I think with something like that, and that's not how science and medicine should be. It shouldn't. It should just be. It should be the people that are doing the research, that are studying these things, that are making the decisions and giving the information. Yeah. But there's too much money to be made in big pharma here in America. Yeah. Like, when you look at what most Americans are suffering from...
Your mic's close to you because I don't know how well it's going to pick up. It swivels nice and easy for you.
Okay. When you look at our healthcare costs in this country, more than half. I want to say it's something around 70%. Someone let me know in the comments who knows better than me. Maybe someone who works in a hospital or something. But it's something like 70% of the costs of medical costs are associated with preventable diseases, as long as you just diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be overweight and lift a few weights, get enough sleep, and that's going to solve like 70% of your health concerns. But you'd rather take a pill for your cholesterol that you're paying for, or the insurance is gouging you for, and it only helps so much. And that's how the system is working right now. That's why I like what Mark Cuban did. Do you see what he did with his drug company?
He's been a real fucking weirdo lately.
He has, but when you look at what he did with the drug company, that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah.
He opened up a drug company. I think he put like $1 billion into it. He raised money and whatnot, not all his own funds. But they sell purely generic versions of all major drugs, and they don't take health insurance, so they're not required to have certain costs. Because when someone's using their health insurance, well, now whoever's providing the drug, the pharmacy or whatever, they're forced to charge a certain price.
Right.
And they don't make more money for charging that. They actually make less in most cases. So he's trying to buck the system a little bit when it comes to the pharmaceuticals.
Well, if that's the case, good on him. But we've kind of really deviated from the 1% milk and the 2% milk and then the skim milk map.
We tend to babble and go on tangents, but
ADD takeover right there, baby.
Yeah, it's all right. Let us know in the comments if you enjoy when we start ranting a little bit, and if it still makes sense, because I followed the conversation all the way through. Sometimes I know it gets hard to follow when you babble like I do, as I'm doing now. I'm babbling about babbling.
He's babbling about fucking babbling.
All right, so let's take a look at the Electoral College here.
It's a racket.
You want to get me down that rabbit hole?
Let's go.
So we actually do have a few states that haven't finished their count. We got Maine here. They're at 79%, but it's looking like Kamala. Well, I always call her Kamala, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We got Michigan here. They're almost done, 98%.
They're about to be red.
They're about to be red.
Wow.
Same with Arizona here, Nevada, Alaska. They're getting close. But Trump already has 277 electoral votes. You need 270 to win. And he hit that last night when our state, Pennsylvania, came in as red.
It's because the Amish were out voting. Did you see that picture?
I didn't see the picture of the Amish,
but
I saw a couple of
triangle
tweets.
Buggies and the horses with Trump flags on them. I'm like,
really?
Like, wow, bro.
I did see a few posts where people are like, I can't believe Pennsylvania's going red because of a bunch of Amish and rednecks. But it's true. If you look at the map here, look at all the red and look at all the blue. Like the blue, Allentown, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, those real densely populated areas.
I'm shocked about Pittsburgh, dude. Did you know that the immigrants, I saw the stat, within the last 2 or 3 years, their immigrant status has increased by 2,000%. And I go to the Steel City cons down there, and there's a guy I talk to all the time. He lives down there. And he was talking about, because the Monroeville Convention Center is where they have it. Mm-hmm. And right behind it, they had the Doubletree Hotel, which is like a high-rise hotel or whatever. And then there was like something with the people that own the Monroeville Center wanted to sell it, so they sold it to Hobby Lobby, and the city's like, you can't sell it. And they're like, the fuck we can't. It's ours. So once word of it getting sold got out, the Doubletree people were like, well, that's our revenue. Bye, we're out. And they shut it down. They bailed on it. So then there was like all this hemming and hawing about what they were going to do with the building. Mm-hmm. They were going to level it, make it a parking lot for the convention center, or maybe like an expansion. But now the guy tells me that they're taking a bunch of illegals in, and that's where their housing is going to be, and they're going to get $1,300 a month in food stamps. I'm really shocked that Pittsburgh was like, let's be blue.
Yeah, considering the history of Pittsburgh, the steelworking and all that, it's very surprising. And I'm not really surprised, though, when I see where the blue is, because even if when you look at the entirety of the U.S., a lot of the places where there's an incredibly dense population, especially an incredibly dense immigrant population, and this is coming from someone who is an immigrant, it's blue in these areas.
You're not going to do your sand joke from the gym yesterday?
So I'm saying this as an immigrant, and I love this country. This country is the reason why I don't wake up every morning dusting sand out of my ass crack.
That was the joke.
But I saw J.D. Vance talking about this on the Rogan podcast when he did that interview. Apparently, part of the strategy is essentially inflation of voting. The same way your money is worth less thanks to the money printing.
Right.
Having the mass immigration coming in under the Democratic regime.
That's voters.
It's voters, because Harris she didn't just want to let them come in. She wanted to let them come in and vote. Now you, as an immigrant, you come in because of her. You get a vote because of her. You get food stamps because of her. It comes time to vote.
Yeah.
Who are you going to be voting for?
Right. Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, as someone, like I said, who is an immigrant, I believe in having a proper set of channels, because my family spent a year in a refugee camp before they got to America.
Right.
They were in there, they were waiting for the documentations, going through the process and all of that. And you think it's cool living in a refugee camp for a year?
Right.
No. It was rough conditions.
I mean, there's no part of that sounds fun.
Exactly.
Hence the name refugee
Yeah,
camp.
exactly.
Not summer camp.
Yeah.
Refugee camp.
It's even worse than fat camp. Lord knows I need it to go.
What is fat camp?
It's where they send the fat kids to go try and lose weight.
Stop. Is that a thing?
You've never heard of fat camp?
Clearly Lizzo didn't go.
Hey,
no, I've never heard of fat camp. Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing.
Still?
I don't know if it's...
Wouldn't it be body shaming camp now?
I think now people are too woke for a fat camp.
Oh, dude. They need to think
There's
their fat ass is the fat camp.
It's like... Look.
Wow.
I'm not gonna body shame you if you're actually trying to do something about it. Like, I have a personal training company. Like, I love fat people. Like, fat people help me make an income. Like, when someone asks me, what do you do for a living? I tell them, I make hot girls. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I take fat girls and I make them hot.
Oh my God, bro.
I'm gonna get canceled within one show after this.
No, there's
But yeah, you ever see that movie, that Disney movie with Ben Stiller was in it with the fat camp? I forgot what it was called.
Oh, jeez. We are going away from the electoral map to the fat camp now.
Yeah, I need to. It's going to bother me.
Oh, well, back to... Are you just calling Ben Stiller fat camp? Oh my God, bro.
Oh, Heavyweights it was called.
Heavyweights.
I didn't even... There we go.
Okay, now that it actually kind of rings, sounds familiar.
It was a great movie. But... I got off the rails again.
We need shirts that say that.
We need you guys to get in the chat, and whenever I start going off the rails, just tell me to stop being a dumbass, because it'll start popping up and I'll go, oh, wait a minute. But
fat camp.
Yeah, when you look at voter inflation, that's what it is they're bringing people in, giving them votes, giving them benefits, and essentially bribing
you're buying
them
off.
Yeah, you're buying votes, and then our votes become worth a little bit less because of the overall amount of votes. Now, I don't know what the exact how much less our votes are worth now. Maybe something around 3/5.
Yeah. Poor Jill Stein. She got 0 electoral.
Did you didn't catch that, did you?
What? Do that again?
I said, thanks to all this voter inflation, now our votes are worth a little bit less. I'm not sure how much less, but it's probably something around 3/5.
I don't know. This is the first year in many years I did not vote, and this is because game, I believe the table's already set before we, like, I knew Donald Trump was going to get in simply because this guy can't go away. The liberals need somebody to fucking hate. What's he going to do? Run in another 4 years when he's 300 years old? Get the fuck out of here. This, I do believe, and I may be wrong, I do believe this was going to happen regardless.
Yeah, but the reason why the 3/5 one was supposed to be funny as a political joke is originally when African Americans did get the right to vote, their votes were counted as 3/5.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what that reference was to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, it's all right. Hopefully people out there did pick up on that joke.
Well, if you didn't, now you know.
If you understood that joke, let us know. If you didn't understand that joke, learn a little more history.
They only counted, like, one black person's vote was 3/5 of a vote?
Yeah. That was part of... when did...
This is why voting is democracy, or tyranny of the majority. Democracy is tyranny of the majority. If you think about it. So 3/5, that's stupid.
Well, I want to... Because we're, only about 70 years removed from the civil rights movement. Like, there's still people alive today that remember, like, getting whipped and sprayed with hoses and, as children and whatnot. So we're, like... Our country is 250 some years old, something about there. And when you actually think about something like that, it's not that far removed from today. Now, contrary to what some people will tell you, I think it is better today. Like, some people say it's more racist today. Like, I don't know if it's so much that it's more. I think it's just more easily exposed. If now that we have, cell phones and cameras everywhere.
Accessible.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I experienced racism while I was going to vote yesterday. I didn't tell you this yet, did I?
No.
So I have a hyphen in my name. As I said, I'm an immigrant. And I go to vote, and first of all, it's all these old white ladies that are doing all the voting stuff.
Yeah.
And, I don't care. I didn't really think anything of it until...
Fucking Karens.
I didn't think anything of it until I experienced that little bit of racism. She was trying to get my name, and I have a hyphen in my last name. And first, she didn't even know how to go to, like, hit the number screen on the iPad so that it pulls up, like, the numbers and the little blue tab there.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there, like, trying to ask the other lady, and the other lady didn't know. And I reach over, and I'm just like, oh, it's that one right there, and I push it for her. Like, I thought they were going to start saying something about that. And then she goes, oh, I can't believe I didn't remember how to do that. I had a bunch of you people here this morning, too. I'm like...
You people?
She pulled it.
The fuck does that mean?
She, like... I could have asked her, but I figured...
She'd be like, whoa, neighbor, chill out. Fuck you mean? You people.
I find that whenever I experience racism... It's not so much coming from necessarily a bad place, more of a ignorant place.
Right, you're
it's
not
more of
a the culture or
Yeah, and most of the time when I've experienced it, it's from someone usually a lot older like that who just doesn't even understand that what they're saying is wrong.
Right.
Like the one time though, I had someone who was just legit crazy. They asked me, hey, does your family have any oil money? And I'm like, if I had oil money, there's no way I'd be having a convenience store and selling you Newports right now. Like,
you don't have any oil money.
Well,
yo, can I get a discount on some towels?
No, I need them for my head.
What the fuck?
So the one that asked me for oil money, about the oil money, this lady was someone I always played a fun little game with that I call Bluetooth or Voices. Whenever I worked downtown and I had someone come in, they were talking to themselves, I'd be waiting to see.
They got that Elon Musk fucking wire.
The Starlink in there.
Yeah, they're talking to some shit that ain't there, but it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
They got a direct line.
Yep. Are there the voices or just the Bluetooth? But yeah, like, racism is still a real thing in this country.
There's levels of racism, though. Like, if you're strategically doing something, like if you're cutting jokes, you know what I mean, like to a certain demographic.
Oh yeah, like I've just
you're,
made like four of them
they're
by
friends of
myself.
yours or whatever like that, and like, you know, like, because I remember even back in the day, you know, I had like Irish descent and Polish descent, and like they were like, we would cut on each other for, you know, being Polish or Irish or, you know, stuff like that. But not rooted racism where it was like, I do not like you because you are of certain color or from a certain geological part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's actual racism. The other stuff is just the little digs or whatever.
Yeah, and I think we've devolved a little bit.
No, we're supposed to be offended because that's what, you know, we're supposed to fight each other. That way, like, when all this other shit that's going on that screen right there,
we don't notice it.
We don't notice that. So, like I said, in the 90s when hip-hop rap was huge, and that actually was, like, kind of like the coming together of blacks and white people. Mm-hmm. And I still have a lot of black friends. I work with a lot of black folks and stuff like these people are great people. I grew up in the poorest zip code in the nation, so to have that be a thing, the powers that be didn't like it. So now they're out there saying, well, this is racist, this is racist. They're telling you, they're speaking it into existence because they keep talking about it. They want that unity.
Well, that's the thing, is friendships and relationships, they grow through shared experiences. And what happens is the conversation has devolved these days to the point where if you notice race, you're considered racist.
Right.
There's just biological differences between us.
Yeah.
You know, those things are just plain true. Like, but saying something, suddenly you're a racist.
Right.
Now, if you say somebody behaves a certain way because they're a certain race, that's racist.
Right.
But if you make a joke about the stereotype and, you know, you guys are laughing and what, like, that's a completely different, because they want to take the context out of it.
Right.
And like, you see it all the time on like Twitter, especially somebody like they'll made like a tweet as a joke. And then especially like when it's a comedian, that's when I really don't get it.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't imagine being a comedian nowadays.
Oh, that's why, like, I always joke that I'm going to get canceled because I say dumb stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I've said a bunch of it here.
You can't be canceled if you don't give a fuck.
No, true.
That's what it is. Stop apologizing to the
is.
Masses. Like, that's just a bunch of bullshit.
But that's what my joke is about getting canceled. Like, it's just like that they're going to want to cancel me. Like, if I'm ever big enough to where I have a following and I say something offensive.
I would rather know that somebody was racist. I've said this before on the show. I would rather know that somebody's racist. That way, like, they were not going to get any of my attention or my money. So, like, yeah, well, whatever. Like, you being racist, like, I mean, it doesn't affect what's going on. It's kind of like the people today that are mad, the liberals that are mad that Kamala didn't win.
And a lot of them are trying to make it a race thing.
Huh?
A lot of them are trying to make it a race thing.
Oh, right. And a woman thing. It's identity politics. Like, you could still go about your day, man, like, and do your fucking thing.
Well, it's like we said at the beginning.
You don't need people's permission to do that.
Yeah, well, like we said at the beginning, regardless of who's in office, the person with the most power over your life is you.
Yeah.
It's like so many, I saw so many girls that are voting for her just because she's a woman.
Right.
And personally, like, I thought both candidates were kind of crap. I thought of the four, like with the vice presidents, J.D. Vance is the only one where I listened to some podcasts that he did, some interviews, things like that. He's the only one I saw that actually wanted to have a conversation rather than just attacking people. That debate he had with Walz, I actually thought it was pretty good.
He was very tactic. He's a tactician. That dude definitely is a very good speaker and a very good, sees where you're going with something, and then he knows how to cut it off right where, like.
But he was cutting it off with facts.
Right, and he was cutting it off with, I don't know, this je ne sais quoi, this.
Well, he wasn't yelling
nice
over
about
him.
it. He was just like, you know, like, oh, he had fucking Tim Walz like nodding his head, like,
it's like
I thought
flustered.
Tim Walz was going to vote for him.
Yeah,
like,
I thought he was going to bow out.
Yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, because he killed him with kindness, literally.
But that's what I liked about
like the Permane
his
Brothers
stuff.
thing. We covered that. Did you see that?
Which
the Permane Brothers in Pittsburgh, and they wouldn't let J.D. Vance in.
Really?
And so everybody walked out and canceled their orders, and he paid for their orders and then tipped all the people, even though he couldn't come in. He did it the most tactful way, just like, hey, I get it, it's cool, whatever. Here you go.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, who knows if it's just a political stunt or whatever, But when I was watching him speak, compared to, like, let's just put the Kamala and Trump interviews to the side. I never learned a single thing in anything that I saw from either one of them.
Yeah.
Walz at least was trying, but Vance is the only one that I was looking at, and I'm like, okay, he's willing to listen, he's willing to discuss, he's willing to have the conversation, and he's supporting his viewpoints with facts. He's fact checking, like they fact check him during the debates. He didn't have anything that was like a major thing coming up. And like I said, it's not that I trust him, but of the four, like I'm looking at it like, why isn't this guy the one running?
Yeah. And people could say that about Vivek, the same thing. But he had ties to Big Pharma and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's like literally you pick Kamala, who wasn't, protecting democracy.
Well, that was a coup. That was a coup d'etat.
They definitely shoehorned her in there. And then you got Walz, who was like an authoritarian during COVID. I've talked about this on the show as well. Like, this dude's lockdown policies, and like if you said you were leaving your house, there's a $75,000 fine, threatened with jail.
I didn't know he was that.
Oh, it was fucking terrible, bro. That dude, that was going to be the VP. The Democrats, were you not trying on purpose?
I mean,
because that's your best attempt. Some chick who can't even fucking answer a question without the thing about cereal is, we should talk about cereal, because cereal definitely needs to be talked about, because there's so many different types of cereal, and I like cereal, some cereal I don't like, without even answering a question. That was going to be your fucking candidate? Are you serious? And then you ran her behind identity politics.
Well, and the thing with that I'm looking at that, and this is going to sound,
shame on you.
This is going to sound awful, but you wanted to prop her up there because you felt like people would relate to her. But she's a single woman in her 50s with no kids and no prospects. And she's been a prosecutor in literally probably the worst state when you look at their economics and their criminal justice.
And look at when Tulsi called her out on all that shit, like how she held fucking minorities long over their sentencing time for labor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't going and looking at that. You're really going to vote for her because she was a different pigment, and she sits when she pees. What?
Well, when you look at the Hillary Clinton and Trump election, it was the same thing. Hillary was up there because they wanted to appeal to women, and they made Trump to look like he hates women. And, maybe he does. He is a bit misogynistic. Right. Like, I'm not defending him on that at all. But when you put the candidate up there because you want to try and have them be relatable, smart people, which I believe most people are, decently intelligent, they can look and see this person doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And
the word salads she was giving as
cringe, dude.
I will say one thing about Donald Trump that I do like about him.
What's that?
He's just going to say whatever comes to his mind, no matter if it's unhinged or if it's smart or whatever it is. He's going to get on Twitter, put it out there. He's like, there's no...
I think he's watered down from his first time, though, because he was ruthless.
He is a bit watered down.
Yeah.
But that's why people voted for him the first time, and that's why they voted for him now, is because they see Kamala's up there as like more of a prop. They see Clinton was up there as a prop. They see...
I got the attraction to Clinton, though. I didn't think Trump was going to beat Clinton. I get the attraction to a Clinton. Maybe not so much anymore, obviously, when time has told the story of the Clintons.
With the emails and the Benghazi and all that stuff.
On a certain island at a certain time, was in Erie like a week or two ago campaigning for Kamala. So, like, you're again not putting your best foot forward. I understood the attraction to Obama. He was a very good speaker. He had that it factor.
I can respect and have a conversation with Obama.
I did not see any attraction to this ticket from the Democrats at all. None. Like, there's nothing. There's an empty shell, a lady who cringes and just redirects, like, and spins and spins and spins.
Well, I think it comes from the fact that it was essentially a coup d'etat. They could have taken the time to run a primary for the Democratic Party.
Right.
And like, you mean to tell me after the first debate is when Biden said he didn't want to do this anymore, and they had no idea that he was thinking about? It's like, no, you could have had. And like, that's the thing I didn't like about this, regardless of how you feel about any of the issues, the policies of either candidate. Mm-hmm. The fact that nobody, like, as the people didn't get to vote her as the candidate. It was the other politicians deciding she would be the candidate.
Right.
That was the first red flag and the biggest red flag for me, because I believe in democracy. I believe in protecting the democracy. And that means if Biden didn't want to run, we should have had a primary to decide who we wanted to be our Democratic nominee.
But Monty, they were protecting democracy.
It's like, would it have been that big a deal if we pushed the election back a month to have a primary for the Democratic Party?
I said a month ago when she was doing some of these interviews on the mainstream, I said, is it too late to put Biden back on the ticket, because this chick is crashing hard.
Yeah. It's like, and that's the thing is, like, for me, the biggest thing was always the economy. And I always make the joke that I call her Kamala Harris, because she wants to go in, control prices of products for private businesses, mostly in the food sectors. And that is terrifying, because that is the first step in
Venezuela 2.0.
Yeah. And when you look at these communist regimes throughout history, one of the first things they try to do is take control of the food supply chain. And when she started talking about trying to put in price regulations, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's about 54% of the economy is small businesses. When you go in and you tell a business what it can charge, well, now you're putting a price cap on its profits, but you're not putting a cap on its expenses. Expenses continue to rise, profits continue to dwindle. On top of that, they wanted to raise minimum wage.
Bye-bye competitive market.
It's coming from a good place because they want people to make a living wage. I get it. Okay. You know, people should be paid their market value for what service they're performing. But now those costs are also going up. So the business's profits are decreasing. Their expenses and labor costs, product costs, rent costs, all this stuff is increasing. And the third thing you're hitting them with is the rampant inflation. So any money they are making is quickly being devalued. Mm. You're attacking business on three fronts when you do that with her economic policy. Who's going to crash and burn? The 54% that's small businesses and that can't afford doing that kind of thing. Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, these trillion-dollar companies, they can absorb a hit like that. But the small mom and pop shop, they can't do it.
Yeah, there's no incentive to stay in business. It would actually just be pushed out. It wouldn't even be incentive. It would just be like, it's not affordable.
Exactly. And that was the second huge red flag that I'm looking at, because if you have communist policies being put into place, it doesn't matter about abortion. It doesn't matter about immigration. It doesn't matter about any of these things. Because even if you want to help the immigrants or help people with healthcare, help people with anything, you can't do it when the economy is slowly being strangled because of those policies. And like I said,
that would be a collapse, because there's just a lot more seats at the table with a lot less food to give out.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's why, like, I make the joke that she's Kamala Harris, but look at California and the policies that they've been putting in there.
Dude, it's literally, California is blue as fuck, and it's literally a case of you cannot free a slave that reveres their shackles, because there's
well, there's a reason why so
Hollywood,
many people are leaving
weirdos, like everything, poop on the streets, like
Well, there's a reason why people are leaving California, because the policies that are in place there, tax alone, you're giving up 40 to 50% of your income. If you're not making $200,000 a year there, you can't make enough to survive, because that 200 gets cut to about 100 because of taxes. And then it's so expensive to live there because of the weather. So many people there, cost of living's ridiculous. You can literally be a surgeon making $200,000-$300,000 a year and living in an apartment. Because of the policies that they have in
businesses and everything are fucking flying out of there, and it's justifiably so. I don't get it. They should just be their own fucking country at this point.
I mean, they can try. They won't last long. But and it sounds like I'm a Republican, But no, I just align with the Republican policies during this election. I align more with the Republican policies on the economy. Because like I said, if you're going to be putting those kinds of constraints on small businesses in particular, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
So who knows if it's the right choice or the wrong choice America made? We won't know. We'll have to wait and see. But
see some videos on Twitter, see what because some people are melting the fuck down right now.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I don't advocate you melting down. I advocate you going out and being the fucking person you're supposed to be. Be an individual. Don't be this collective. Don't like, here we go, not my president. It's not mine either. Like, I get up every day and I'm good. Oh my God, this video down, the AI is just taking shit over. Look at this. This is fucking hilarious. Oh my God.
That is amazing.
Dude, King of the Ring, Donald Trump here. Elon Musk has changed the like button to celebrate Donald Trump being the 47th president of the United States of America. Oh. Wow.
AI can be terrifying, but it is hilarious too. Reading all the "Not My President" meltdowns is the best.
Wow. Dude, and I saw a video where like the Avengers got together, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, and it did this like there was this vote thing. Oh, we got to find a catchphrase for Kamala Harris. You just told me I don't want to watch another fucking movie you do ever again. Shut the fuck up.
I disassociate.
Like Hollywood's already dying, and you're just killing it because you just.
Yeah, I disassociate the actors and their political views. And
I don't want to give my time or effort. Again, it's like me knowing if somebody's racist or something, I'm not going to give them my time or my money.
Well, if somebody
if you're doing some dumb shit like that, and you're like, because the chick he looks like he's trying to like two fists, two wieners when he does that shit.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
But once you sit there and you're literally promoting a communist. I don't want to give you my fucking money, man.
Exactly.
Fuck out of here. Like anything you ever did before, I don't even want to know about anymore. It's like I want the Men in Black to come down and hit me with that. See, I've already got that built in. I have my own way of canceling people.
And like we said before, in case it's coming across as that we're staunch Republicans, we're not.
They already know.
We just think it was the lesser of two evils.
Oh, I didn't know. Again,
you didn't vote.
My reasons for not voting is because, like, even in the Joe Rogan podcast, when he was asked about the Kennedy thing, I didn't release it my first term of president when he was supposed to, because that's when that stuff was to be unsealed, because some of those people were still alive. Who fucking cares? Hold them motherfuckers accountable if they're still alive and they had something to do with the Kennedy assassination. Another thing, all these people that should have been pardoned under this thing never got pardoned. Edward Snowden, like, come on. Assange, like
everyone that they thought Trump would be
9/11. You can't tell me the motherfucker doesn't know who was in on 9/11 yet. He was in office for 4 years. Trump is a cunt. That's funny.
Which ones?
Oh my God, that's funny as shit.
I guess you are what you grab.
I need to download that. Can we get a hold of this lady and can we use her for a T-shirt, please? But no, I have my reasons for not doing it because it's not what he's saying all the time.
I'll go ahead and save this.
Some of his policies are in the right direction, but it's
we will work on getting this animated and put on a T-shirt. If anyone does want to,
I don't know, man. Like we might need to get this lady's consent. Do we know? Can we reach out to her?
We'll see what we can do. But if we have an animated caricature, we don't have to worry about all that licensing crap.
That's funny as shit. Like, I did like some of the things that the man says, but he did look like the lesser of the two evils, but still voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil. And I don't know that this is going to be like the pendulum swinging back the other way. And like, okay, it's like the powers that be bet on both red and blue, so either way they're going to fucking win. Well, and it goes back the other way, and then it's just a new movement.
Well, everything is cyclical in life. Like if you look at politics, you look at the stock market, you look at the housing market, you look at style, you look at everything is cyclical. It's swinging back and forth. And right now,
but they held that pendulum for a long time.
Yeah. And right now, the Republicans are in control of the executive branch, the president, of the House, and of the Senate. So everything's more red right now. I wouldn't be surprised if in 4 years from now it swings back to blue. Or
I think he might be the last constitutional president, if you want my opinion. However, look at this meme. Can you all see this meme? Everybody can see this meme, right? Greed, sloth, gluttony, wrath, lust, pride, envy.
Hold on.
We had a...
I'm an idiot.
What?
Now they can see everything.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go back to the lady.
Anyways, greed. Oh, yeah. See,
this is the lady we were talking about.
This is the lady with the shirt.
My fault, people. My first day back on the job after months.
God damn it.
I'm an idiot.
Josh. No, teasing. It's good to have Monty back though. But this meme right here, I want you to think about this: greed, sloth, gluttony, wrath, lust, pride, envy.
But
anybody that shilled and went and campaigned for Kamala Harris, Oprah, greed, sloth, Lizzo, gluttony, also Lizzo, wrath. Did you see all these protests? Over the years and stuff like that. Don't give me that January 6th.
Here's the thing.
Bullshit.
Here's the thing. Which one of us, as a human being, is exempt from these things?
Right. Exactly.
We all have every single one
KFC.
of these in our. I don't know so much about KFC.
Envy so much, not me. Maybe a younger me was envious of certain things, but I'm good where I'm at.
Not so much envy. I believe a little jealousy goes a long way.
It can be a motivator.
So here's the difference. I don't know if this is the technical difference, but jealousy is let's say you have a Ferrari. Jealousy is, I can't believe you have a Ferrari. I want to have that too. Envy is, I can't believe he has a Ferrari. I don't want him to have that. You see the difference there?
There is a difference, but they're rooted in the same thing.
They're rooted in the same thing. But it's, how are you as a person responding to that feeling? Are you motivated to do what that person did for yourself?
Because they have something you don't have.
Or are you, yeah. And so envy, I think, is bad. Jealousy, just a little bit of jealousy, I think is good. When I see somebody driving a Ferrari, I think I'd like to have that too. Now, when I was younger and didn't understand as much about business and finance and things like that, it was more on the envy side, and then I started learning how hard it is running a business, especially with all the government regulations that are, and how hard success is. Now I look at it and go, okay, how do I can't believe they have that. How do I get myself there?
Right. And
that shift in your mental framework will do wonders for your life.
Yeah.
You'll have more money. You'll have better relationships. Right. You'll have... everything will improve.
Now, pride. Tell me something that's wrong with being proud. I mean, if I've accomplished something, I'm not going to be complacent. I hope to accomplish a little bit more.
Well, are you rubbing it in people's faces? Is, I think, where
it depends. It depends on the person.
I think it depends on if they're jealous or envious of you.
A younger me was very egotistical, and I think a lot of things with ego can be conflated as people that don't have confidence call people that are egotistic, or call people with confidence egotistical. Mm-hmm. So I think depending on the person, if it's somebody that's sitting there and tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna let you fucking know while I'm doing it and when I've succeeded. So there's nothing wrong with that type of pride, but just to do it and showboat,
doing it for showboating for no reason,
right?
Is
arrogance. Flexing with money on fucking Snapchat or shit like that. That's weird to me. Don't want to tell anybody. Don't make yourself a target either. Yeah,
being proud of something you've done and rubbing it in people's faces is two different things.
All right.
And I think it also depends on, are they jealous or envious of you?
Right.
If someone's envious and trying to undercut you the whole time, okay, I'm going to rub my accomplishments in your face because you can't do that thing and you're not willing to do it.
You can. Just do better, but you don't want to.
Well, yeah.
It's just easier for you to be a victim and undercut me.
Yeah. But going back to the original post, we've all experienced all of these emotions. We've all gone through all of these things. We've lusted after, in our cases, women. Right. You gotta make that a point these days. But we've had periods in our lives where we don't want it to sit around and not do anything. Right. We felt anger at other people, and
But that's the irony of this whole meme is that every fucking tag that's on here, anybody that campaigned for her looked like they just came from a Diddy party or they had an affiliation with him, and they're warning you about Trump. Ain't that fucking weird?
That is weird.
J-Lo.
I mean, I knew he was going to win
Cardi B.
when he got shot at. And
I don't know that.
Like, the second he got shot at, that became
Immortalized, yeah.
Well, it became like a rallying cry for a lot of people who didn't care and weren't going to vote. Mm-hmm. And they decided, hey, I mean, the one that they tried to kill twice, like, there's got to be something behind that, especially when it comes, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I will, like, show me the facts and I'll believe either way.
It almost looked like it was scripted. I'm not saying it was.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know either way. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I try not to make deductions until I see the information.
Right.
But but regardless of whether it was or not, it became a rallying cry for a lot of people who weren't going to take part in the election. And they said, hey, there's something going on where they don't want this guy in power. Why? What exactly is going on? And they went out and voted for him.
Is it a supply and demand thing, though, too? Like, they cut off access to Trump for a while, like, media-wise. They wouldn't air certain... It created a desire to see what the guy was saying.
Well, YouTube hid the Joe Rogan podcast. They were trying to bury it in their algorithm. You had to specifically search for it. Because when he did that podcast, it got about 35 million views within the first day or something like that. And then Rogan had to tweet and put the links up for it in Spotify, and they uploaded it to Twitter and everything so that people were able to access it in multiple ways. Because Google donated to her campaign.
Yeah.
Personally, I think corporations should not be allowed to donate to either candidate.
The great Jesse Ventura said it. Anybody that holds a political office, if they're wearing their suits or whatever, they should have anybody that financed their campaigns on it. You're
like the NASCAR
Pfizer tags on motherfuckers.
Yeah, like the NASCAR
Sony
thing.
And BlackRock and all the fun ones. Yeah.
Well, King, I think that's been a good hour.
It is.
So,
it is.
Any quick final thoughts?
Well, seeing as how you're not savvy on the way we kind of do things with the merch store, we do have Make America Moist Again hats on the site. I'll put this on the camera for you right now because we're doing like a bare bones podcast today.
Let me switch to your full camera.
And
here, read off the website for them.
Oh, it's just streamlabs.com/justtip2024/merch.
Yep, you can get a Make America Moist Again, which incidentally spells mama.
Yeah, mama. Or Make America Monty Again.
Either way, I'm going to be doing mama all night.
Mama.
Mom.
Yeah.
Mommy.
Oh,
Mama.
Jesus
Mother.
Christ.
Mom.
I'm stuck in a loop of Family Guy here.
Mommy. What?
Yeah.
All right. That's all we got for you today, guys. I'm sorry I'm a bit of an idiot, and I gotta refresh myself on all the settings and whatnot here. Mr. Gilbert did an amazing job, and I gotta follow through and do my part. Being a lazy sack of...
Or the guy that actually owns all this equipment should just fucking like learn how to do it too. That way I can sit in my own chair with my cool Dragon Ball Z anime guys behind me.
Hey, it's a delegation of responsibility. We all have the things we're good at.
I don't just make you feel at home. I just give you the chair, right? Like the captain's chair.
Yeah. You offer me a drink.
Right.
You offer but hey, Josh does the technical stuff. You buy the technical stuff.
That is his mic too, though.
And I act like an idiot on stream to help us get views. So be sure to like, follow, share, tell a friend, and get some of your mama merch.
And then, sip on some liberal tears.
And like we said at the beginning, guys, take control of your own life, regardless of who won.
That's what true anarchy is.
And don't hate someone for voting differently or having a different political view. Just sit down, have a discussion.
Call them fucking idiots.
And the only way we'll get through these next 4 years, for good or for bad, is if we stick together as Americans and not allow ourselves to be divided. like they want us to be.
Hold a mutual respect, definitely. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't disrespect someone unless they give you a reason.
But read the room too. Just remember who had what signs and what they were chanting and stuff like that, because those people will sell you out in a fucking minute.
Yep. Well, that's all for today, guys. Like I said, like, share, comment, subscribe. He's King Cage. I am King Moont. No, I'm not. He's the king here.
That's weird.
That's King. It's actually my, well, I won't.
Princess Monty.
Princess Monty.
Princess Monty.
The full Monty.
There you go.
No, I'm not nearly in shape enough for that. But all right, I'm done babbling. We're done babbling. We'll see you next time, folks.